Hello, I'm Scott Soshnick.
And I'm Eben Novy-Williams, and this is the 3 more years of Roger sports business podcast, the Sporticast.
Now, do I grade this? Do I grade the 3 more years of Roger?
You do not. We move on.
Well, we move on. How much fun did we have getting our flu shots this morning?
Oh, it was a blast. Oh, always a good rite of passage with you every fall, Scott.
I mean, we really do just have fun no matter where we go. Like the whatever the chemistry is people see on the show, it's because it lives in the newsroom. It lives wherever we go. We go to get a flu shot, and I'm sitting there. I've got my arm, the sleeve rolled up, sitting there. But the guy's looking at his phone. Oh, would you be having the left arm?
And you made the lady guess how old you were, which she gave you a nice compliment. Yeah.
She came in at 5 years younger than I actually am. Thank you very much, lady behind the
very nice,
the window at CVS. So that was good. But speaking of age, how old is Roger Goodell? I don't even know.
That's
speaking
a good
of
question.
age,
I would,
but he's still working. He's not ready to hang it up.
I believe he's 65 right now. He will be 68 when his 3-year contract ends in. Sorry, 64. So he'll be 68 in 2027, March of 27, when his new 3-year extension is over. Scott.
So if you're Roger, the motivation to continue, it's fun work, right? Things are going really well. You've got Taylor Swift dating one of your tight ends, and everybody's watching that, through the roof. I'm trying to think. What would it be, Eben?
60 plus other million reasons why.
Well, at this point,
this might
I'm
be
thinking
a gig that he wants to keep doing.
Again, I never know somebody's financial situation.
Of course.
But yeah. I'm guessing that Roger has a good enough portfolio that should he decide at this point, I'd like to take my foot off the gas pedal and go retire somewhere and consult and whatever it may be, that he would be okay. I'm not sure the paycheck is the driving factor for Roger Goodell to continue working for 3 years.
Yeah, it's a good point. There's not many people that know from as young an age as he did exactly what he wanted to do and then get to have that job. And I'm sure there's a part of him that wants to hold on to the job as long as it seems to work.
Do people remember that he started as an intern? Like he was with the Jets? And then, he was a league intern. He went from intern to commissioner. That's great.
And didn't he write a letter, a handwritten letter at some point to the then commissioner that he wanted to have the job someday? It was clearly something that he had targeted as a goal of his for a long time. And look, Sky, he took over in 2026. From a business perspective, it's hard to argue with the results. Revenue.
Wait, you just said he took over in 2026?
Sorry, 2006.
I was like, wait a minute, we ain't there yet.
Yeah, sorry. 2006 revenue has roughly tripled in that span to, I think it's around $20 billion now.
And we thought the $25 billion target was crazy.
He's got the target of $25 billion. There's labor peace. There's another 9-10 years left on the long-term TV deals. He's got
flag football. He's got Taylor Swift.
Football in the Olympics. Yeah, he now has Taylor Swift on his side. There's certainly a lot of little quarrels that owners have had with Roger, but I think almost all of them, if you were to look at the body of work and the things like COVID and that feud with Donald Trump that he has helped steer the NFL through, I think most people would say that he has done a pretty darn good job of helping the business of the NFL continuously grow in his almost 20-year tenure.
What was going to take down the NFL? It was domestic violence. Yeah. It was head trauma. What else? What were the other things that were going to...
Donald Trump, it was COVID, it was the changing media landscape.
As we've said a million times, it is a wonderful position to be in when your customers are addicts. I can't think of anything that would make folks abandon their Sunday ritual of sitting on the couch and eating unhealthy food from sunup to sundown. I just can't think of anything. I mean, it's just part of the lifestyle. Now, I, however, where I come from. I'm like, go outside and throw a football rather than sit there watching people. You want to pick one game, and a little bit of soapbox on the health thing here. You want to pick one game, take a 3-hour, 1 to 4 window, 4 to 7 window, the night game. Pick one. But go outside and do something for the rest of your Sunday, please. God.
You are in the minority, my friend.
Sorry, Roger. Sorry, owners. I understand I'm in them. But good for you. Nobody cares what I think when it comes to how they should live their Sundays. But, I mean, it's just part of the fabric of the culture. And I don't know what would it be that would derail this thing.
And so let's look forward for a second. if this is his last term in 2027 March, we're going to need to have a new NFL commissioner. That will be a fascinating look at internal, external, who's in the pipeline, what they're looking for. But in the meantime, some of the things on Roger's checklist, I'm sure, figuring out what to do about ownership rules, and we'll get to one of the changes that owners made in New York last week in a second, but I know that's high on the list. International remains a very high priority. Having flag football in the Olympics is very helpful. The league is playing games in London. It's playing games in Germany. Likely going to be other places on that list at some point soon. Roger definitely has a high priority in growing the game there. New stadiums, which you and I talked about a few weeks ago, very high on the list as well. Anything else I'm leaving off that you feel like in the next 3 years are big things for Roger to try to get a handle on?
Oh, kind of implies I was paying attention to the list you just rattled off. But no, Eben, you did a fine job. Those are the main.
Nailed it, every single one.
You nailed them. Everything what you just said is really, really good. That's what they're looking forward to in the NFL. No, you're right on. I mean, because what do we talk about? It's media, it's real estate, right? These are the things we talk about and it's finance and. I'm curious to see what 32 Equity does moving forward, and I'm surprised that the teams maybe we got to check on them. Have they put even more money in it? It was $1 million a team.
They did. They put in more last year.
I think even more. Let's go dump it in more. Especially when this is an environment where the NFL, because it's the NFL, of course, they can get equity in whatever they want. They don't even have to really fork over a lot of money. And if they're right 1 out of 10 times, they come in on the positive side. It's a home run.
Yeah, media is an especially interesting one. As I said, they've got another 10 years left on these TV deals. The TV landscape is going to look, I assume, extremely different when these deals are over. There's an opt-out in the middle of those, so the NFL has at least an ability, if it wants to, reshuffle the way it distributes games earlier than that.
No, they don't want to change how they distribute games. They just want to make more money, so they'll opt out and they'll say, pay us more.
There you go. But in the meantime, very curious to see what the NFL decides to do to kind of chip away.
Have you seen the Amazon numbers, by the way? Sorry to jump in there, but have you seen the Amazon number? I think they're up to
Thursday Night Football numbers.
I think it's in excess of 13 million now. We are approaching linear TV numbers for the exclusive Thursday night stream. That's how this was designed to work.
Yeah.
Keep the distribution, keep the scale on the linear TV, while dabbling in streaming, getting the world used to consuming it in our way, and this bodes well for MLS and Apple, but get the world comfortable streaming this stuff, and then next time, or the time after, see if they're interested in a broader package.
It was pretty quiet. You and I did talk about it a little bit, but the NFL's data partner, Genius Sports, is now selling really high-quality live broadcasts via sportsbooks. And those are not limited by size or pixelation restrictions like they have been in the past. So that's at least another way outside of the big TV deals that the NFL is finding a way to get high quality broadcasts in the hands of other partners, of other ways that fans like to watch games. We're going to see a lot more of that. NFL Network is still maybe on the market looking for a strategic partner, whatever that looks like. But you're right. I think we're going to continue to see an evolving media strategy, even though the big $100+ billion worth of TV deals are not at least going to be renegotiated anytime soon.
All right, I'm just from September 26th, Thursday Night Football. I know it's a little old, averaging 14.4, 21% increase over last year's first two games. Yeah, I'm sure but that's an immediate Google. But yeah, the point is you're getting the kind of numbers that you would only see on broadcast TV.
Yeah,
that's it.
Let's talk about ownership restrictions. One of the things that owners did, they met in New York City last week. One of the things they approved was raising the debt limit for existing owners from $600 million to $700 million. The debt limit for new buyers in a transaction is $500 million above that number. So that's moved from $1.1 billion to $1.2 billion. Scott, not a huge change. This was obviously a little point of contention when Josh Harris's group was in the process of buying the Commanders. It is certainly something that will come up whenever the next NFL team is for sale, about how much money the NFL does or does not allow people to take out in debt when they finance these transactions. I was surprised at how small a jump this was. Adding $100 million feels kind of it doesn't feel like it's going to move the needle that much in terms of dramatically changing the way people think about both existing owners and especially new ones thinking about financing their transactions.
Yeah, if we were to post a scale of aggressiveness on this transaction, and your left would be this way,
Yeah.
one
nice.
over there, 10 really aggressive over there, we're going that way.
Agreed.
Yeah. However, and again, I'm not going to give the name because I don't want to give all our competition the chance to get out there and front run us. But I'm guessing I heard a name of someone who is interested in getting in the club, and there is also a long runway of folks who commissioners and leagues often court and just keep updated and pre-screen and all the process that they have to do. But I would tell you that this person, now you can probably go to a list and probably figure it out, maybe, but whatever. At least I'm not going to say the name. This person's net worth is sufficient to, as they like to say in the business, cut the check.
Okay.
So if it's not, I don't think it's just one. My guess is that the NFL is proceeding armed with knowledge of future bidders, who has shown interest, what teams, or I'll take whatever comes or whatever it may be. I'm guessing knowing what I know about this person, that the NFL is comfortable that it can go another transaction without having to go to that side of the ledger.
Interesting.
In the aggressive scale. That is just my prognostication. That's
so
your
Elon
value
Musk
add.
is what you're saying, right?
I did not say anything. If Elon Musk was interested in a team, or if Jeff Bezos was interested in a team, he'd have had one by now.
Yeah. And,
Right?
and there's a lot of levers that the NFL can choose to push.
Lots of levers.
And this is the
me
one
levering,
that,
by the way.
Exactly. This is the one that I think you and I and most people that we talk to have agreed was the most likely one to change. And
I
I
ain't
think
running
it's
to
worth-
sovereign wealth or
I think
private
it-
equity.
Exactly. And I think it's worth noting that the debt limit, it seems to jump up every 2 or 3 years. There was a big jump around COVID, but in 2015, this number was $200 million. So it's up 3.5x in the past 8 years, and the average team's valuation is certainly not up 3.5x in the past few years. So relative to valuations, the league has actually done quite a bit to raise the debt limit in terms of at least the ratio of valuation to debt that could come out. So yeah, we'll see if there's anything more, or maybe you're right, Scott. Maybe the smart take here is that this is the league actually not as concerned as people like you or I on the outside may think that they are about what happened when Washington, and more specifically what happens when whatever the next team is sells.
Yeah, remember there was that doubling factor. You went from the 2 point whatever at Buffalo to the 4 at Denver, and that's somebody who could certainly cut the check. By the way, Greg Penner now in charge there. Mm-hmm. Now to the 6 of Washington. Do we think we're going to 12? I mean, you would need a horizon. You need a time, some years, I think, for the next one to ever get that. So I think the NFL
or the Cowboys, right?
Yeah, or the Cowboys,
or just the Cowboys.
Which we don't think is going to happen. Or what was the lots of reporting? No, Robert Kraft has said he's not selling the Patriots in his lifetime. I get a real chuckle out of our industry. Was there, and I think I tweeted this, is there a person alive that thought in any way, shape, or form, Robert Kraft, age, insert number here if you can, Eben, 82? 80,
like that,
whatever. Yeah. Is there a person alive who thought that Robert Kraft was going to wake up? By the way, a former season ticket holder who, in his words, used to have his tush freeze to the metal benches, watching Steve Grogan, or is that Victor Kayam, whoever it might have been. That guy doesn't wake up at 82 and say, I've had enough. I know, Jonathan, you probably thought this was going to be yours, but you know what? That's it. What can we sell it for? Get rid of it. I'm out. Where does this come from? Yes, somebody asked him a question. He said, no, I'm not interested in selling. So we write that up as if it's like, wow, Robert Kraft not selling. You don't
Matt
say.
Ishbia just got these headlines too. Guy bought the Suns.
Yeah, never selling. He just bought it.
Never
selling. Yeah, wait until for whatever reason it may be, your core business has a liquidity crunch, and then tell me what you're doing with this other asset you got. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying whatever. Like these speculative pop-offs, whatever. Doesn't matter. I have no idea what were we talking about? I don't even know.
We're
I got
NFL,
fired up for a second.
We can transition, because one of the things I think that if you were to list things that were maybe a concern for the NFL's business long term, the NBA might be on some people's list there. So another sport kind of rising up, and NBA valuations certainly have. Kurt Badenhausen, our colleague, last week published the highest paid players in the NBA. This is a list that includes both on-court earnings and off-court earnings related to their
most off-court. Most of them off-court.
Not a surprising top, Scott, but I'll give the top 5. LeBron James, number 1.
He's the oldest player in the league, by the way. Isn't it? Just if I may, and we never go sporting, but may I just interject to say, what an accomplishment this guy is. Unbelievable what he's done on the court, off the court. He's the oldest player in the league right now, and you wouldn't think he's anywhere close to that. I mean, just the level of excellence all around what he's done is really, really amazing. I remember, I was writing and covering when he came into the league, and I remember his first game at Sacramento and all the stuff at St. Vincent, St. Mary High School when somebody had a Hummer and he's going to get suspended. Think about, all the column ad inches and all the ridiculousness that went into like the criticism of this guy and whatever, and chosen one son pretty well for himself.
He has, and is going to continue to do so, Scott. $127 million on the court this year. Number 1 in the NBA. Steph Curry, number 2 at $102 million. Then the next 3 are Giannis Antetokounmpo, Kevin Durant, and then Klay Thompson coming in at $64 million.
Klay Thompson surprises me.
Yeah, Klay Thompson's a little surprising. The others on the list, Dame Lillard, Joel Embiid, James Harden, Nikola Jokic, Paul George. One of the things that jumped out to me looking at the kind of the ratio of salary to endorsements, of the top 10, there is only one player. LeBron is the only one who's making more money off the court than he is on it. And I asked Kurt if he was the only one in the NBA he thought, and the answer is no. There's a few players like Russell Westbrook and Derrick Rose who still have a big marketing presence and are not being paid all that much.
Wait till Iverson gets his annuity.
NBA. Yeah, exactly. But it is interesting to see that at least in some levels there are NBA players that are jumping that line from being paid more on the court to being paid more off it. And all these guys have the same thing in common, in my opinion, Scott. They're looking to build outside of the NBA. They're not looking to get a check to appear in ads or even to own a local franchisee. They want to build equity in big businesses. And I think this ratio of on-court to off-court earnings for the biggest stars in the NBA is going to continue to swing further from on-court earnings, even as you and I were joking in the office today. The salaries that some of these NBA players are making is incredible. Names that I'm not a big NBA fan, but people I've never heard of making $15-20 million a year. Pay is continuing to rise, but I do think that that's going to continue to shift larger to off the court.
Well, that is my cue to bring up Andre Iguodala.
Yep.
Years ago, I remember when Andre signed with the Warriors, and his stated goal back then was to hang out with Joe Lacob and get to know more about venture capital. That's why he went there. It's not like a surprise. It wasn't like, oh, this was just a straight up basketball decision. They're going to win. He made a decision to put himself in a position to become a player in the VC world. And obviously the NBA notoriety helps. So it's not even a small surprise that he's decided, enough now. I've stepped away from basketball, but he's going to run Mosaic, a fund that he did with Rudy Klein Thomas, our friend.
Big fund, not just a fund.
Big fund. Yeah. To do what a lot of others are doing. It's sports, tech, everything sports adjacent fund. These are things and he's done pretty well in a couple of investments already. And this is the blueprint. You don't need to be the megastar. And it goes back to, and I tell this story all the time, and you can ring the bell when you're tired of hearing of it. But when Grant Hill would go on the road, you finish it up. What did Grant Hill do when he went on the road as a player? While some were watching cartoons in their hotel room,
he would try to meet with the owners of the teams in the towns he was going to, because their business connections he knew were going to be the things that were going to help him later on.
Well, that's the same as Iggy going to a team run by a guy in the VC world. Kleiner Perkins, that makes perfect sense to go play for Joe Lacob and see if there's a way you can get involved and learn from him and then, go out on your own. And that's the path. People are seeing, the younger players are seeing this. This is not happening in a vacuum. They are now going to Andre Iguodala. Jaylen Brown is a perfect example, who showed up at our VC as a rookie. He went to what was our tech and VC event years ago in San Francisco, right? He's like a 19-year-old, whatever it was. And Jalen was like, how do I do? And then he winds up signing the biggest contract in NBA history. And what do you think he's going to do with that? You think he's putting it in, like, all of it in a CD? You know, he's not putting it in his bank account and getting 0.02%. It's just he's going to look and see, how do I create generational wealth with sort of the nest egg that I get from my athletic endeavors. And all the young players, or many of them, they're taking a peek, and their aspirations go so far beyond being just a highly paid athlete or basketball player.
Some other things about Andre Iguodala. His personal investments include Robinhood, Zoom, and Allbirds, that Silicon Valley shoe staple. He's a minority investor in Leeds, the English soccer team, part of that new round. He has the Twitter account Andre. Yeah. I don't know if he was extremely early on Twitter or if he managed to get his hands on that.
Whoa. This is we should make a public plea right now, and I'm sure you know where I'm going. Let's make a public plea. Maybe our listeners can pressure at Eben.
Oh, yes,
to
please.
Step aside.
Please.
I mean, you and I have been talking about this for years, that you a Novy_Williams. I hate the underscore. Everybody knows that. How you have not gotten at Eben is really just distressing for me.
There was a couple months ago.
I'm going to go look right now. I'm going to test. I'm going to check
Elon
followers.
Musk said a couple months ago that they were going to start deactivating inactive accounts, and I was like,
and
maybe
at
this
Eben
is my
was
chance.
not the most active person.
Exactly, but at Eben is active enough that I do not think that he or she is going to be able to. There's
also another one
out.
at Eben Official. Do you know that dude?
Oh no.
At Eben Official, artist, producer, DJ, 242,000 followers for at Eben Official.
Wow.
I'm trying to find where is just the at Eben. I'm not seeing it.
It's a hockey fan, from what I remember.
Well, that's okay
by
by me, but
about
on second thought, maybe he should just keep it. I'm trying to find my at Eben, but hold on.
Well, if it's gone, maybe I can grab it now.
Here it is, at Eben, right here. A hockey enthusiast, ex-New York City resident, change agent, amateur gardener. What's FUT life? I don't know what that is.
I'm not sure.
But 282 followers. Last tweet. Oh my God, we're going back to 22. Hasn't tweeted since 22.
So maybe that gives me a chance here.
Yeah. You need to get at Eben. We need a campaign. We need a campaign of listeners to bombard this Eben, the hockey enthusiast, ex-New York City resident, to get you. Give it up. Give it up for at Eben.
Yeah. Make it happen, folks.
Yeah. All right. Well, how about baseball breathing a sigh of relief, by the way? We had lots of sweeps.
Yeah.
And we're recording. We won't know the results of these games, but it doesn't matter. What do we say all the time? Like, yes, everybody wants, get to 6. You need 6. That's when people get profitable. You need 6. It doesn't matter. I mean, obviously you want Yankees, Dodgers, and you want Lakers and Knicks, and we get it. Big brands help. I got it. But a Lakers-Knicks sweep is not as valuable as a Hawks-Utah Jazz 7-game series.
Yeah.
More inventory to sell. You got to get to the 6s and 7s if everybody's going to make some money. We've got 7 with Texas Houston. We've got 6 with D-backs Phils. Baseball probably wanting a game 7 there as well. A little more promo, a little more inventory for everybody to sell.
Yeah, and this comes, after the first few rounds were so bad, Scott. I'll read you the first 8 playoff series. 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 3-0, 3-0, 3-1, 3-1. And that is almost literally as bad as it can get in terms of the we want as many games as possible camp. So the fact that the 2 championship series, one's going 7 and one is going at least 6, that is welcome news for baseball. I would imagine the preference here from teams is Houston, Philadelphia, but again, that is secondary to the idea of compelling games and maybe even most importantly, just long series.
How do you think Steve Cohen feels watching this game? He's paying Verlander a ton of cash. He's paying Scherzer a ton of cash.
Yeah.
That's why
the Phillies are a game away from the World
and it's
Series.
The Phillies.
Would likely
your
be
rivals.
favored in it if they make it there.
Yeah.
I think I'm sure he's feeling lots of ways.
But nice line. I'm sure he's feeling lots of ways. Let's pull that out as a highlight. I'm sure he's feeling lots of ways.
The big feels. It's going to be fascinating to see what what the takeaway is for the Mets, and we don't have to spend a lot of time on this, but what the takeaway is for the Mets this year, and what that actually does to change the strategy next year in terms of the way money gets used. Because and he made it clear at our event last week, right? There were things he is learning now still about being a baseball team owner. There were things that he assumed that I think ended up not being accurate, and I'll be fascinated to see what that looks like in the next couple of years under his ownership.
Well, he's already well ahead on one thing. He's got the real estate tentpole down. He's already, what was his great comment? Like, it was just like hubcaps, and if you need a catalytic converter back, you can go, there's nothing else there. There's going to be lots and lots of development around Citi Field. Obviously, Steve Cohen wants a casino to be part of that. You've got a soccer stadium. You're going to have retail. You're going to have commercial. You're going to have residential. One more stop on the 7 line. Go to Flushing. You can have the best Chinese food in New York City. My friend Danielle Sessa, what did she do all the time? We used to go to Flushing and when she worked out there, and we would go to individual restaurants for one item on the menu. Like, here are the best ribs. Here's the best rice. Here's the best shrimp. And we would just go ... That was one of my favorite days. The Sessa tour.
Before we go, I want to ask you a question. You mentioned earlier about LeBron James and the hype and how he's lived up to it. And you've been covering the NBA for a long time. What do you make of Wembanyama? The hype, the preseason. I've seen the photos of some of these blocks that look like he's 1,000,000 feet tall. What do you think about the Victor hype right now and how it's at least panned out in the preseason so far?
Yeah, I don't think from the focus on one player, I really don't think it has reached, certainly not exceeded what LeBron went through.
Agreed.
Yeah, so that is a little bit different. He's in a really good spot in San Antonio. You've got that lineage of big men, and you've got Pop just sort of downplaying everything. Like, the guy was amazing on the court. As his first game, whatever, Pop was like, he did some good things. He's obviously got some talent. Like that. Yeah. That's good for him. It's the whole San Antonio way, which is great. But boy, if he doesn't get hurt, he's doing a ton of stuff on the court where you're just like, wow, like he's going to change things for them. Like, we're going to go see him, by the way. We've got a live event out with NASCAR out in Phoenix, November 2nd and 3rd. If anybody's interested in joining us at the C-Suite, listeners, check it out. Go Google, reach out, invite only. But if you're interested, and let me know, and maybe we'll invite you. But we're going. I'm excited. Friday night on the 2nd, we're going to be. Was it Friday or Thursday? Thursday night, the 2nd, I believe. We're going to be at the Suns, and just by chance, Sun Spurs. Oh, so I'm really excited to see Wemby live. Yeah, and check out what he's doing, because it's faces of league, right? It's just these are the guys you want to see. The NBA has always been a star-driven league. So want to see him. Hopefully his value is sky high, right? He's like FaZe Clan years ago. You don't. Thank you. You don't. If he was part of the group, would he be FaZe Wemby? Is that right?
Yeah, he'd be FaZe Victor, FaZe Wemby.
I think FaZe Wemby and like
Phenom. Yeah.
Value was here, and now we're down here, and no surprise that. I love how it's all connected. Like, this is the part. This is what we love about what we do. It's FaZe was here, FaZe is down here, and of course, who's in swooping at the low? Of course, a company controlled by Jerry Jones.
Yeah. Yeah, this is esports is we don't have all the time to talk about it. Esports is a fascinating place right now, business-wise. There are people who are running for the exits, and there are people like Jerry Jones who seem to think that this is an opportunity to buy back in or buy in at a relatively low number and see who can figure this out. And I say that knowing that FaZe Clan is a lot more than an esports company, so I am aware of that. But yeah, it's going to be fascinating.
It's a lifestyle brand.
Gaming lifestyle influence. It's going to be fascinating in the next few years to see how the gaming community, how external investment happens, how valuations change, continue to go down, come back up, etc. But yeah, a lot of people lost a lot of money, but that does not mean, and I am of the belief that there's a lot of interesting and fascinating business and a lot of money to be made in competitive gaming once people figure out the structure that is proper.
Let's see, what did you need for valuations? You just needed like maybe the drugstore glasses, like they're really just a little magnifying glass. Then you needed maybe binoculars. Then you needed maybe a microscope.
Yeah.
And now you need the Hubble
The
telescope.
Hubble.
Yeah, you need the Hubble. Hey, were we really both going to Hubble land? Were we doing? That's funny.
Debating Hubble or James Webb, and I went Hubble.
Yeah. I think Hubble is the sort of that's the default name. If you're going telescope, you got to go Hubble. I don't care who comes in. Yeah, that's where you go. Close it out, buddy.
If you're searching for Scott on Twitter, you do not need a telescope. You can find him at Soshnick. You can find me on Twitter
Pretty
far
good.
at
That was pretty good.
Novy_Williams. Maybe someday at Eben.
Pretty.
Not quite yet. The show
Can I
is
distract you?
produced by Aaron Greenewald.
Pretty.
Thank you, Aaron, to everything you do. Sportico's digital media editor, Cora Veltman, would like you to know that you can follow the show at Sporticast, which is the hub of the Sportico Media Network.